What's good, everybody? My name is Sway, and we're back talking NFL Pick'ems Week 12. I did all right this week. I went 10-4. I wasn't able to beat my previous record of 12-2, but we're going to see if I can get that done this week. So I'm going to give you a quick recap of the teams that I picked from this past Sunday, and then I'm going to let you know who my picks are for this upcoming week. Moving on to last Thursday's game, Philly and Washington. It was actually a pretty close game all the way up until the fourth quarter, but Philly pulled away in the end and they got the win. Moving on to the Sunday games, Raiders and Dolphins. This was actually another close game all the way up until the fourth quarter, but the Raiders just weren't able to get it done and the Dolphins won. Next up, Colts and Jets. The Jets lost again. Anthony Richardson ran a TD in towards the end of the game, and then a couple of days later, the Jets fired their general manager, so they're just a mess right now and they need to rebuild. Moving on to the Ravens and Steelers. This was a defensive battle. The Steelers ended up winning the game off of 6 field goals, and the Ravens actually had a chance to tie it at the end with a 2-point conversion, but Lamar couldn't get it done. Next up, Vikings and Titans. The Vikings did what they had to do. They went on the road and beat a bad team, and they're still only 1 game behind the Lions for the division. Moving on to the Browns and Saints. Taysom Hill had a massive day. They ended up smashing on the Browns, and since the Falcons keep losing, they're not out of things in their division just yet. Moving on to the Jags and Lions. The Jags are a joke. The Lions did what they had to do at home, but to lose a game by 46 points, that's just embarrassing. Moving on to the Packers and Bears. Another heartbreaker for the Bears. Kind of like the Broncos last week, the Bears did what they had to do to set up the game-winning field goal at the end, but the Packers blocked it and they won by 1 point. Moving on to the Rams and Patriots. The Patriots hung in there and actually gave the Rams a run for their money, but the Rams got the win and they're still fighting for first place in their division. Moving on to the Broncos and Falcons. I really thought this game was going to be a lot closer than what it was, but the Broncos ended up smashing on the Falcons, and if I was a Broncos fan, I would be super excited to have Bo Nix as my quarterback. Moving on to the Seahawks and Niners. Another bad loss for the Niners. They choked again in the fourth quarter. It looked like Seattle was dead, but they ended up getting the ball back towards the end of the game, and Geno Smith ran in about a 15-yard touchdown to win it. Moving on to the Bills and Chiefs. We did it. I honestly didn't think we were going to get the win this week based off the fact that we had 3 main players out on the offensive side of the ball, Coleman, Kincaid, and our right tackle Spencer Brown. But we did what we had to do. Josh was great. He did have 1 sloppy interception, but he made up for it at the end, obviously, with that great run. He broke a couple of tackles, scored the touchdown, and I'm just happy the Chiefs aren't undefeated anymore. Moving on to the Sunday night game, Bengals and Chargers. This game was crazy. The Chargers dominated the whole first half, and then it's like they forgot how to play football in the second half. The Bengals caught up, tied the game, but the Chargers got lucky and they ended up winning in the end. Next up, the Monday night game, Texans and Cowboys. This game was ugly. We knew the Cowboys weren't going to win. They're just not a good team right now, and they're pretty much done for the season. And the Texans did what they had to do to get the win. So with that being said, I ended up going 10-4. My losses were the Raiders, Niners, Chiefs, and Bengals. And let's see if I can do better this week. Starting off with tonight's game, Steelers and Browns. The Browns just aren't a very good team right now. I know it is a divisional thing, and I didn't forget that the Browns beat the Ravens earlier this year, but I just think the Steelers are on a roll right now, and they're going to get the win. Moving on to the Sunday games. First up, Bucks and Giants. Similar situation. The Giants are just not a good team right now, and they just benched Daniel Jones, so I got the Bucks winning this one. Next up, Lions and Colts. I honestly think this game is going to be a lot closer than people think. The Colts are at home. Anthony Richardson seems to be a little bit more comfortable based off the way he looked this past game against the Jets after he was benched for the past 2 weeks. So I know the Lions are hot, and I know everybody's talking about them, that they should go to the Super Bowl, but I am still going to take the Lions. I just think it's going to be close. Next up, Titans and Texans. I'm taking the Texans. The Titans are just not a good team right now. We know that. And the Texans are back at home, so they should win pretty easily. Moving on to the Patriots and Dolphins. This is going to be one of my upset picks of the week. I am taking the Patriots. I know the Dolphins are at home, but I think the Pats get it done. Moving on to Dallas and Washington. I'm taking Washington. We know the Cowboys are just not a good team. Plain and simple. Next up, Vikings and Bears. I think this game is also going to come down to the end, similar to the Bears and Packers last week, but I'm still taking the Vikings to get it done. Next up, Chiefs and Panthers. I'm taking the Chiefs, but I'm hoping the Panthers find a way to get it done or at least make it close in the fourth quarter. Next up, Broncos and Raiders. The Broncos are on a roll right now, and the Raiders are just not a good team, so I'm going to take the Broncos. Next up, Cardinals and Seahawks. I'm going to take the Cardinals. I know Seattle's back at home, and they just came off a big win at San Francisco, but they do have the Cardinals as an underdog by 1 point, so technically I am taking an underdog. I'm taking the Cardinals. Next up, Niners and Packers. I am going to take the Packers. It looks like this game might be played in the snow. If not, it's definitely going to be really cold. Green Bay is back at home. The Niners just came off a loss at home, but I'm going to take the Packers in a close one. Next up, the Sunday night game, Eagles and Rams. This should be a good game. The Eagles just came off a big win at home against Washington, and the Rams just came back from the East Coast winning at New England. I'm actually going to take the Rams. I'm taking the underdog in this one. The Eagles are favored by 3 points, but I think the Rams find a way to get it done. Moving on to the Monday night game, Ravens and Chargers. I think this game is going to go similar to the Bengals and Chargers game. I got the Chargers winning this one at home. They are the underdog by 3 points, and I just think they find a way to get it done in the end. That's going to be it for me this week. There are 6 teams on a bye: Bills, Bengals, Falcons, Jets, Jags, and Saints. So that only leaves me with 13 games to beat my previous record of 12-2. Maybe I'll go 12-1, hopefully 13-0. We'll see if my underdog picks pan out. So good luck to you guys this weekend. Go Panthers.